As I speak to you a little bit today about what's going on in downtown Cleveland, consider me, just for the next few minutes, one of your fellow residents. I don't necessarily live in Warrensville Heights, but certainly the work we're doing in downtown Cleveland impacts each of you directly every day. Because our job is to bring, very simply, our job is to bring people to Northeast Ohio, bring visitors to Northeast Ohio, people that are staying in hotels like this one, people that are coming in from outside our 7-county region that are spending their money here and leaving it here. So as opposed to us just going out to eat or buying pet insurance or anything else, what we're doing there is we're trading our money back and forth as folks who live in a community like Warrensville Heights or as people who live in Cuyahoga County. But by bringing people in for some of these large conventions, trade shows, and other events, we're generating new money. And that's really what a convention center is all about. So as I begin today, just for a few minutes, just imagine that I'm basically working on behalf of the mayor and the city staff here to help drive economic impact to Warrensville Heights, just like every other community in Cuyahoga County. So as I get started today, I just kind of want to bring you up to date on what's going on downtown. First of all, who has seen the new convention center or been in it? Quite a few of you. Wonderful. Okay. So in some sense, as I say it in church on Sunday, I'll be preaching to the choir. But what we see in downtown right now is over $2 billion in economic development. I was hired and came here 5 years ago because at the time, the Medical Mart Convention Center project was the proverbial political football. At the time, we had the old county commissioner system, which was on its way out. The voters had spoken and that system was going out. We didn't even know where the Medical Mart was going to be built. They were having trouble closing on the real estate, and the convention center needed to be condemned because Cleveland had been out of the convention center business for 30 years because we had a convention center that simply wasn't competitive. So that's the situation I came into when I was hired by Chris Kennedy in Merchandise Mart Properties 5 years ago. Fast forward to today and the happy news today of what's going on. First of all, a year ago, we had 53 events booked in the convention center. When I actually updated the sales report this morning, we have 436 events booked into the convention center. Now, I'd like to say it's because we have a terrific director of sales, but that's not the case. What's really important here, as a community, if you're not excited about the renaissance we're seeing in Cleveland today, the seeds which were sown over 20 years ago. In fact, if you look back on the Gateway project 20 years ago, we're seeing many of the residual successes now because of terrific planning downtown. Our facilities are close. We're able to bring visitors to downtown, and they're able to see how walkable our city is, how safe our city is, how much development is going on downtown. All we've been able to do is finish off the last piece. So when I talk about the 400 plus events that are in our building right now and why Cleveland is successful, meeting planners look for 5 things. When I'm a meeting planner thinking about a city I'm going to choose to bring a large convention, like right now we're in the mix for several big ones like Gear Expo, Cleveland Clinic Medical Innovation Summit, which starts in our building next week, Industrial Supply Association, several of the NASA events, Healthcare Convention and Exhibitors Association, Case Management Society of America. We had 3,000 nurses in downtown Cleveland for a week. That was exciting. But you know, we're able to bring shows in. Meeting planners look for 5 things. First and foremost, you have to have a facility. You have to have a viable convention center. We now have that. It's 225,000 square feet of exhibit space. We call it Class A exhibit space. What does that mean? It means if you've been in the convention center down on the exhibit hall floors, it means we have 30 to 50 foot high ceilings and we have 90 foot spacing between the columns. That's significant to meeting planners. The next thing about that exhibit hall floor is we have 20 truck loading docks with no floor restrictions so they can drive their semis right out onto the floor. Any of you that have ever planned a convention know that that saves money if you can get people in and out quickly. Bless you. The other thing we have is 35 meeting rooms along with terrific grand ballroom space. So the convention center is the first piece of the puzzle. The second thing meeting planners look for is, do you have a connected hotel? In the Northeast Ohio region, including the hotel we're sitting and standing in right now, we have about 21,000 hotel rooms. Downtown, we have about 4,100 hotel rooms. That number will basically double by 2018. By 2016, when the Republicans come to town, we'll have 6,000 rooms downtown, and 18,000 rooms will be utilized throughout Northeast Ohio for the Republican National Convention. But the connected hotel is also a critical part of the piece. We're now building a 600-room Hilton Signature Hotel that will be directly connected to parking and directly connected to the Convention Center and the Global Center for Health Innovation. So, we weren't even able to get past the first two fingers to 3, 4, and 5, which we already had. Third thing is, do you have great transportation? And we do. Ricky Smith and his staff at Hopkins Airport do a terrific job of getting you in and out of that airport. I'm a huge fan of the RTA. I take the RTA Red Line every morning from West Park to downtown. And we have a terrific walkable, tight-knit downtown. There are no other cities in North America that have 3 professional sports stadiums in that close a proximity as we do with Progressive, the Q, and First Energy Stadium, where you're literally within 10 minutes of all 3 stadiums, as well as Playhouse Square, as well as all the terrific restaurants and hotels that are located downtown. Fourth thing we have is amenities. That's something we already had in place. We have terrific restaurants, things to do. We're a foodie town. Cleveland has become known nationally for the great amenities we have downtown. If you haven't been to Playhouse Square since the chandelier went up, take a trip down there. Art Falco and his team at Playhouse Square have done remarkable work in one of the great theater districts in North America. In fact, outside of New York City, we have more theater seats than any other theater district in America. My wife and I were just down there last week for the terrific Motown show. We're season ticket holders at Playhouse Square, and I'm a huge advocate of Playhouse Square, in addition to the Cleveland Symphony and all the other amenities we have. And then finally, it's a safe city. When I moved to Cleveland 5 years ago, my wife and I lived downtown the first year. I'm thrilled we did that because we were able to experience, largely on foot or taking the trolley downtown, what our downtown has to offer. I consider Cleveland an extremely safe and walkable downtown. So now we meet all 5 fingers because the Hilton Hotel is scheduled to open in June of 2016. So with that said, now I just want to talk you through a little bit about our buildings. And again, 5 years ago when I came to Cleveland, this was a political football. Now it's not. So what is the Global Center? And I have brochures out on the table. I'm going to start with the Global Center because that one's a little bit more difficult to understand. Simply put, if you remember nothing else that I say today, it's not the Medical Mart anymore, for starters. We changed the name. The industry leaders changed the name because Medical Mart sounded like Kmart, Walmart, CVS, a place you could get a prescription filled or go to the Minute Clinic. That's not what the Medical Mart's all about. The Medical Mart, renamed the Global Center for Health Innovation, is exactly what the name sounds like. The building is about showcasing innovation and technology that will improve patient outcomes and lower costs. If you remember nothing else today, if someone asks you at an event or at home tonight, what's the Global Center for Health Innovation? It's a place that showcases innovation that will improve patient outcomes and lower costs. Once we develop the mission, the new name, the new brand, success followed. When you look at the types of companies, the multi-million and multi-billion-dollar international companies that are now in the Global Center downtown, why are they here? They're here because, first of all, we built the building. We had the courage to actually build the building as a county. But second, this region has more than 700 biomedical companies. Healthcare is what we do, and we do it well. We not only have healthcare providers, but we have companies that make things, make healthcare products. So GlobalCenter capitalizes on that strength. But if you look at the names of who's in the building right now, they're the folks that were on our industry advisory board that determined the new name and the vision for the building and the 4 themed floors. We have 4 themed floors. First floor, and tell me if this doesn't impact you or hasn't impacted your family at some point in your life. First floor is called State-of-the-Art Home. It's the home that showcases how people can live in their homes as safely as possible, as long as possible, despite physical or mental disabilities. So think of somebody with dementia or Alzheimer's that has to move into a nursing home. Think of someone who's getting a little older and can't get around the house as well as they used to be able to and has to go into a nursing home. Or think of someone who needs to be closer to their doctor or the proverbial red button on the wall for the nurse. There are now technologies in place that allow people to live in their homes as long as possible. And that's what the state-of-the-art home showcases. First of all, does anyone know anyone that is confined to a wheelchair? Okay? If you're building a kitchen in a home and I'm in a wheelchair, the appliances better be closer to the ground so I can get to them. You can't have a refrigerator that goes up to the ceiling. You can't have cabinets and counters that are up high, microwave, stove, things like that. So that's what the state-of-the-art home is. Second floor are technologies that help the caregiver, the doctor, the nurse, the technician. So the technologies on the second floor, for example, some of the companies on the second floor include General Electric, GE Healthcare, a $12 billion division of General Electric where they showcase the equipment that's used to treat heart disease, cancer, and head injuries, and specifically both Alzheimer's, and GE Healthcare has a partnership with the National Football League and the U.S. Department of Defense on traumatic brain injuries and how you work with people that have brain injuries. So you look at the companies on the second floor, and these are some brand names in healthcare that you've probably heard of. GE Healthcare, Steris, one of our local giants, okay? If you've been in the hospital in the last year and washed your hands, you've probably used a Steris soap dispenser, okay? Cardinal Health, Cleveland Clinic. Up on the third floor, technologies that help the building, okay? We call it clinical spaces. So the technologies up on the third floor are often the things that are behind the wall in a hospital that make it work. Johnson Controls, you know, that's heating and cooling systems as well as nurse call button systems and things like that. Cisco, many of you probably have Cisco systems phones in your offices. So Cisco is going to have a telepresence. It's basically like a big hologram. So if we were having a meeting and 4 or 5 of us are in different parts around the world, this Cisco system makes it look like we're all sitting in the same room. Pretty cool. Pretty cool technology. We're also about promoting what's new and great in Northeast Ohio. Our job, as well as promoting the companies that are already coming in from outside, is also to promote the up-and-coming companies in Northeast Ohio. So BioEnterprise and Team Neo have a space on the third floor along with a showcase for these small up-and-coming businesses. As I mentioned, there's over 700 biomedical companies, including startups in Northeast Ohio. One of the great things we can do as a region is keep those people here. Don't come up with a great new invention somewhere and then head to Boston or one of the coasts. We need to keep you here. That's called brain drain, and we have to avoid that. We have to keep those people here. So that's the kind of space we have up on the third floor. On the fourth floor is all about tying it all together. I guarantee if you've been to the doctor in the last year, your doctor did not open up a paper chart. What did your doctor do? He or she opened up a laptop, okay? Everything is about IT nowadays and making sure all the systems talk to each other in a hospital. So we have the 1,000-pound gorilla up on the fourth floor. For healthcare IT, there is no other organization like what's called HIMSS, Healthcare Information and Management Systems Society. They are the Switzerland that all the other companies that make healthcare products in software packages come together to make sure they talk to each other. So HIMSS has the entire fourth floor. They have their immersion theater, and then they also have their simulation center, which is pretty cool. So imagine as you're sitting here, you've come up with a new idea for a device that'll treat a heart patient. You want to make sure that your device is compatible with the other systems in a hospital. that it can talk to the IT that runs patient records or financial data or all the other things that make a hospital work. That's what HIMSS has up on the 4th floor of our building. You can bring that device in, plug it in, and they can build a test case based on a hospital's systems that they have in place. So you can make sure it works. So that's what the GlobalCenter is all about. And that's why we build it in Cleveland. Because Cleveland is, as we call it, the nation's medical capital. I've already talked a little bit about the convention center next door, but the convention center has given us an opportunity as a city to compete not only in healthcare but in mechanical industrial. Wayne and I were just talking about the trucking company convention that's coming here next year. Those are the types of events as a city we're now able to go after and bring home. And again, if we're bringing people home, when I mentioned the number of events we have in the building, what does that really mean? That means we're filling about 450,000 hotel room nights. What does that mean? The industry standard is every head in every bed every night in Cleveland amounts to about $1,200 in economic impact. And that's not the multiplier stuff. I was a C student in economics at Illinois, so I don't know how to multiply. But I know how to put together 400+ thousand hotel rooms times 1,200. That's about $616 million in economic impact. That's what people are bringing to our community and leaving their money in the pot here that will circulate in this region. So that's when a convention center is really doing its job. Now, the Hilton Hotel project I mentioned, that will come online by June of 2016. We were talking at the table here. You're going to hear June of 2016 as the deadline for a lot of projects in Cuyahoga County and in the city of Cleveland. Because one of the reasons we were able to land the 2016 Republican National Convention isn't because Ohio's a swing state. Sure, that was a factor. But we had to have the infrastructure to handle 50,000 people that will be in downtown Cleveland, Northeast Ohio, in this hotel, people that will be throughout our region for a week in the summer of 2016. I can't even begin to describe, first of all, the direct economic impact of having 50,000 people in Northeast Ohio, but I'm a lifelong PR guy. And the public relations bounce that we've gotten as a city and as a region in the last 3 months is indescribable. Over 200 million impressions since the Republicans said, we're not going to Dallas, we're not going to Phoenix, we're going to Cleveland. Since we won the Republican National Convention, it's helped us as an industry to be able to say, what do you mean your convention can't come to Cleveland? The biggest convention in the United States is coming to Cleveland. We can handle it. So when you think about the RNC, the 3 most heavily covered media events in the world, first and foremost is the Summer Olympic Games. No matter where the Summer Olympics are, that's the #1 media covered event in the world. Number 2 and number 3 are the American Republican National Convention and the American Democratic National Convention. Okay, followed then by the Super Bowl and the World Cup. So when you talk about media exposure and what it's going to mean for us as a community, our building alone, as the media center, will host 15,000 media in the convention center. The convention itself will be down the street at Quicken Loans Arena. They'll also use Progressive Field for a number of things, but the media center in all likelihood will be in the convention center. Imagine 15,000 media that will be in Cleveland for a week telling our story to the world. First of all, when they talked about TV networks alone, you're talking 30 to 40 television networks. So it's not just NBC, ABC, CBS, and then CNNs and everybody else, but think about the around the world networks that'll be here from everywhere, talking about Cleveland, Ohio, and Northeast Ohio. So we're back on the map. Over $2 billion in infrastructure taking place downtown. As Wayne mentioned in my bio, I'm on City Planning Commission. The things that we're doing downtown right now to revitalize this area. First of all, the revitalization of Public Square and what that's going to be. The simple, easy explanation of what Public Square is going to look like in 2 years, The north end of Public Square, right outside my church, will look like a miniature version of Central Park. The south part, in addition to the Sailors and Soldiers Monument, will also have a water function as well. If any of you have been to Millennium Park in Chicago, not only the bean, but the little splash pool has become a tourist attraction. We'll have that in downtown Cleveland. In the summertime, the kids can play in it. It'll have fountains. At night, we can light it up. We can have dinners and receptions. And in the wintertime, we can freeze it and turn it into an ice rink. That's our own Rockefeller Center. How cool is that? Okay? So that's what Public Square is going to do. What we're doing north of our building and the 12.5-acre green roof we have on the mall is a pedestrian bridge that will take you from Mall C directly over to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Science Center, and First Energy Stadium. So no longer will you have to battle with the crowd and traffic on East 9th and West 3rd. You'll be able to walk traffic-free all the way from Tower City through Public Square, across the malls, to a pedestrian bridge, and drop you off at Lake Erie, which we're now also activating with the downtown lakefront plan. Mayor Jackson has done a terrific job of spearheading this, and now you've got the Cumberland Group developing it. If any of you had a boat and went to the first or second Browns game, you could bring your boat down and park it at the marina next to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, tailgate, alcohol-free of course, on your boat, and then go to the game. So we're activating Lake Erie. As a city, we have done a horrible job of activating our lake. Right now, when people come to town and say, let's go eat somewhere on Lake Erie, I say, fine, you have three choices. We're going to go to either Pier W, which means I got to work 2 jobs. We're going to go to Shooters, or we're going to drive all the way out here and go to Pickle Bill's. That's about it on the lake. Chicago, where I'm from, has done a terrific job of building the space along Lake Michigan over the last 40 years. There are now 28 miles of pedestrian and bike paths that run all the way from the south side of Chicago up to Evanston. That's what we need to be doing, activating Lake Erie, getting people from our Emerald Necklace and the towpath all the way up to Lake Erie. So folks, there's a lot to be excited about. This is a city that's doing things right now, and this is a county and a region that is really doing things. And I can't tell you how excited I feel like I'm part of transforming a downtown. It's been fun for me. It's been fun on a personal level and a spiritual level to see what we've been able to do to bring this city back to the forefront. So I'd like to entertain some questions if I could. Yes, sir.
When you spoke about downtown and the convention center, are there tours to see everything that you just talked about?
Sure. Are there tours to come down and see? The convention center itself, we normally don't do tours. What we're doing in the convention center is we're hosting conventions. Normally they're private. Now, private meaning they've got 3,000 or 4,000 people, but they're private events. We've also hosted just about every corporate, nonprofit, community event in the building. The Global Center, on the other hand, is open to the public. Right now, today, you could go down and walk through it. We're averaging about 1,000 visitors a month, and we really haven't even started to push it because a lot of our showrooms are still being built. We've got 10 open right now. We'll have 18 open by the first weekend in December, which we're then basically introducing the Global Center to the world. We're bringing in national media, national healthcare media, and we're going to promote it here in the Northeast Ohio region on Saturday, December 6th. You're getting a sneak preview here. I haven't even announced it yet. But Saturday, December 6th, we're opening the building up and saying, come on and see what this building's all about. And it'll be open that day. But it is open right now. You can come down and walk your way through it. We do have tour guides. We are looking at a pretty cool technology. We're looking at having hologram tour guides, virtual tour guides in the building, which will be pretty cool. So, other questions? Wayne.
How does the investment in the health line going out to University Circle fit into everything you're putting together for the convention center?
It's a good question. Of course, the health line, you've probably read about it over the last several years. The city and the RTA put in quite a bit of money to build the health line route along Euclid Avenue, which connects downtown to University Circle. So it connects you to University Hospitals, Cleveland Clinic, You can get to Severance. You can do just about anything on University Circle with the Health Line. The Health Line's critically important to us when we have healthcare conventions in our building because they can hop on the Health Line and they're out at the clinic in 15 minutes. Because a lot of our GlobalCenter space holders are doing business with the clinic and university hospitals on a regular basis. If I ever have a meeting at the clinic or UH, I take the Health Line. Again, I'm greedy with my time. I like being able to sit on the bus and work on my phone and let somebody else drive me out there. So I'm a huge advocate of the Health Line. I'm a huge advocate of more public transportation. We need more train lines. We need to get people around this community. It's difficult because this is a city that was built, when the interstates were built, it was built to drive. It's a lot like Los Angeles. If you spend any time in LA, it's very difficult for the city planners in LA to put a lot of rail lines in because there simply isn't room. But I take the red line, I take the green line when I go out to Shaker. The waterfront line is up and running now that the Wolsteins did a terrific job on the Flats East Bank project. So you're able to get where you need to get to downtown along with the free trolley. If you ever see the green trolleys in your downtown, they really work and they really are free. You just have to smile and get on the train or on the trolley and they'll take you where you want to go. So, other questions? Aaron?
Just a little bit about what you're doing locally and having nonprofits there in the convention center. What kind of opportunities are there for us in Cleveland?
Well, again, we've probably hosted, there's over 240 events in the building this year. Many of those are not only for-profit, but also nonprofit or community foundations. We're the shiny new building. We have a 32,000 square foot grand ballroom with floor-to-ceiling windows that looks out on Lake Erie. So it's a beautiful space. So we have hosted, take your pick of large organizations, and we've hosted events in that space. 32,000 square feet means you can have up to 4,000 people, which is what we had the night that Browns drafted Johnny Manziel. We had the Browns NFL draft night party. It was fun. I mean, almost 4,000 people there. We had Browns alumni. It was a terrific event. Contrast that with next week when we'll have 3,000 of the brightest minds in the world. Not saying Browns fans aren't. 3,000 of the brightest minds in the world at the Cleveland Clinic Medical Innovation Summit in the Grand Ballroom. So we've hosted a variety of different events. We do have some shows that general public would be interested in, but we're really not in the business of hosting consumer shows. The convention center was built to drive people in from outside our region. Most of the consumer shows are at IX. We really don't compete with IX. Those are the things that I go to, the car show, the boat show, things like that. Our building tends to host these, what I call B2B shows. And that's what we bring to Cleveland. So, okay, probably need to wrap it up because Wayne's on his feet. So, but again, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to visit with you and spend some time downtown.